Matt Ryan, 21 of 24, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. Still a dude.
Better than this. Guys being dudes.
Matt Ryan,
That's a dude.
Heisman Trophy, Bronco Nagurski Award, Ultimate Dudes.
Raji on my left, Herzlich on my right. 2 dudes. O-line you, bunch of dudes. Dudes to the right, dudes to the left, stuck in the middle with you.
WZBC, the Boston College Radio Network, the voice of the Eagles.
Hello and welcome to another Wednesday night edition of Two Dudes Sports. My name is Quinn Kelly. I'm here with my partner TJ Hartnett, and we are ready to bring you another week of coverage in the world of sports. Mainly, as always, it seems this year focusing around football. We'll do a little bit of college, a little bit of pro football. Maybe if we find the time, we can talk a little bit of MLB. We are getting into
I'm
the
down
swing
for anything.
thing.
So yeah, we were not here last week.
No.
We took a week off, midterms. You know, that's the way it rolls. But we're here now. We're ready to go. A little two dudes action. So we have 2 games to catch up of. I mean, I'm at a point right now where if you would have put me on last week, you know,
It would have been ugly.
BC may have kicked me out of the school.
It
But-
was a good week to miss, for sure.
But after watching Clemson, seeing some strides, obviously, I guess I don't know how to put it, but you know, I'm becoming complacent, and I'm not really getting to the point where I get mad anymore. Really, to a degree, I'm always getting mad when it involves a loss, or it involves a bad play, or it involves stupidity from someone or someone else. But ultimately, it's something where we got to start looking for the positives and looking towards next year. I mean, not that this year's over. I'm not saying that we can't make a bowl. I'm just saying
But
it's
we can't
very,
make a bowl.
very highly improbable that we're going to do anything now. I mean, it really depends on this week. I'm going to keep saying that. Like, we'll lose to Louisville, and they'll be like, you know what? Really depends on what we do against Virginia Tech. But
Just got to keep going.
in all honesty, it does come down to this week. This is the week. If we do beat Louisville, there is a shot. A little confidence. Our defense has to play stellar. This is you kept saying, bend not break, and I think we broke. We did break. We broke against Clemson, and there were factors that hurt us, but we always gave up the big play right after those factors. So you got to balance it out to a degree. I mean, you were down in Death Valley, so I'm sure you can give us the best opinion on the game as a whole. I was home in New Jersey watching it from my grandmother's couch, so I saw a different side of the game than you did. But I mean, if you want to give a little background on the atmosphere, what it's like at Clemson, how BC handled themselves, and I guess your whole trip as a whole. I'd love to hear a little snippet about it.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I mean, there's nothing that you can compare to having 85,000 people packed into a stadium. It's just a feel that you don't get around here in Chestnut Hill. I mean, we don't hold half of that,
No.
So. It's absolutely crazy. You go in, everybody's on board. First off, the tailgate is every inch of campus is covered, and everybody gets their tailgate tents from Clemson. So if you were to take a sky view of Clemson, like 2 hours, 3 hours before the game, even like 6 hours depending on the game.
Wow!
It's the entire campus is covered in orange, and then everybody's wearing orange. It's they have their solid orange movement. So I mean that's what I can say about the game. It's unreal. It's a great environment, so much fun to be down there. But as for the actual game, it was a disappointing game. I don't think that BC played as poorly as we've seen them play.
I agree.
So just to go right through it, to get on the board first in Death Valley was absolutely pivotal, and that we were able to do it.
Yeah. How about our defense coming out and giving Deshaun Watson a 3 and out? He did overthrow 2 balls on that drive, so it wasn't purely our defense, but I mean, that's a huge stop for our defense. It was something where I watched that first drive and I thought, our defense is they're starting off great.
Afterwards, after that first drive, I was down there visiting a friend. I said to him, okay, well, what happens if we go back to the house tonight and BC wins this game? Now, like, I didn't say it in a way like, better look out now. I wasn't going to jinx it or anything, but he's got one of his roommates as a manager on the football team. Yeah. So I was like, how into your team are your friends? What is it going to be like trying to go back to that house afterwards? Unfortunately, I didn't get to experience that. But yeah, you go up 7-0. I was so happy that they were able to capitalize.
Yeah, it's something that we haven't done at all this year. Not one time have we capitalized on a defensive turnover, and I believe that's a fact.
Not at all. And you come out and you almost force a quick 3-and-out right after it, and you spoke better to this. I was there, so I couldn't. It didn't look like a bad call to me, but I was on the opposite end of the field from where it happened, so that roughing the punter, that was definitely a tough call. It was
It's a game changer in the moment. Like I said,
in the moment.
Like I said, as a whole, to overview this game, everything that happened. The referees, and I mean, I personally, I think the ACC refereeing job that we've had this year has been very poor in the respect that we've had plays in each of the games, Wake Forest, in
Duke, certainly.
Duke, of course, and I was there, and in Clemson that have gone other ways, and it's a factor of, well, in Clemson specifically, the team we're playing, obviously in Death Valley, you're going to get the calls if you're Clemson, but like I said, it's not a game changer where if you take out those calls, we automatically win the game.
No.
Because we gave up the big play immediately after.
And not even a big play. That got them, I mean, it was bad. That got them to the 40-ish yard line. But then they got drove on.
That's what I'm saying.
They went right
Every
down.
time there was a pass interference. There were 3 pass interference calls, 2 of them that I disagreed with, and then the
pass
roughing.
Interference was bad. I was having kids down there from Clemson who were
probably
like,
laughing.
Well, that was bad.
Yeah. The only one that I thought they weren't going to call was the one where, and this is from our side, that they did call against Clemson. Elijah Robinson got mugged on one of the plays.
Yeah.
And he turned around screaming, and the referee kind of just stood there for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, if you don't throw this, I know this game is rigged. And he did throw it. But the roughing the punter penalty was so crucial because, first of all, we have not rushed any kicker at all this year. That's the first time we do it. And Adazio spoke to it on his radio show this week, where he said, you know what? We're in Death Valley. Why don't we take a shot? And I'd love to see that out of Adazio, the most conservative man on the planet. You know, he could run for president, and every Republican would be like, hey, this is our guy because he's conservative. You got the joke.
I did. Yeah, I got it.
So having him say, I want to go out there and take a risk, and I want to go, maybe rush the punter a little bit. I want to see if we can get a block. And we almost did. We came really close.
We were very close.
But then, immediately after, when he ran into him, I said, shoot, here comes the flag. But I thought, I did like the math in my head, and my friend was there, and he's like, oh, you're to the 2, you're fine. And he's like, unless it's roughing. I said, there's no way it could be roughing. Roughing is legitimately after the play, continuing to run in and not making an attempt at the ball.
That was it.
He clearly did. And clearly, what Adazio said was it was his hand placement. So his arms being higher and coming down on him instead of, it was like his hands going towards the player as if to tackle instead of coming down as to block. I don't know. It was, some jargon that I don't really understand.
It was a bad call.
Yeah,
it was a bad call.
I agree.
And, you got to get past those. And they didn't. They turned around and let Clemson come right back down and score.
Like you said, 3 or 4 times.
They took advantage of every penalty that we gave
Agreed.
them, which is unfortunate because you hear people talk about that team, and Clemson has been unimpressive this year.
Yeah,
they haven't looked great. If they get by Florida State, then they could go to the college football playoff just on the fact that they haven't lost and they're from the ACC, which I wouldn't agree with. I don't think. Yeah. If they continue to look how they look, an undefeated team from the ACC still doesn't deserve to make it over both Baylor and TCU.
Agreed.
We've talked about this already. They make a lot of mistakes. Deshaun is not.
Yeah, 2 picks.
The great
2 picks, and they were bad.
And not
they
even just the
picks.
It was poor play calling that I think went along with it because we looked in the first 3 or 4 drives. There were 5 attempted long balls. He missed a lot of long balls. Which is naturally what's going to happen with a college quarterback if you're going to go for a lot of them. Their percentages are going to be low.
Yeah, I know.
But I was surprised. They just kept going for the home run ball, which, eventually the dam broke, and they were able to score 1 on us. Deion Kane, I think, had the reception for them, and he took it all the way in.
Yep.
And, they don't play well enough on their own. They give you opportunities to win the game.
Yeah.
But if we're going to make all those mistakes, and granted, some of them not mistakes, some of them just poor calls.
Yeah.
But either way, if they're going to be given opportunities to get back into the game, they're going to get back into the game.
That's one of the flaws that
they're a team that just they outclass us. They're in the same category as Florida State. They are a bunch of top athletes. They had 4 5-star recruits come in this past year. We haven't had a 5-star recruit come in ever. They're a class above us in terms of athletes. in terms of skill. It's a different program down there. So you can't give them those extra opportunities. No. For the football team, and this is, really, we could go off about it, but I think my only necessary last point on it, it's just got to be demoralizing for the football team to walk into a place like that and see what it's like, to go from 85,000 strong to the point where literally, I got to tell you, we were in, so for the first half, I was in one of the, not the upper deck, but like high up in the lower deck, and before I moved down into the end zone next to the hill.
Yeah.
In the first half, you couldn't move because the entire stairwell was covered. They oversell the student tickets.
Yeah.
And it's a lottery. Like people end up not being able to get student tickets.
Yeah.
It's a stadium that seats 82,500, and there were 85,000 people there. We have a stadium that sits, what did we say, 42?
It's 44.5.
44.5. Okay, 44.5. And we
445,000.
We may be, I don't think we've broken the 40,000, have we, this year?
No, we haven't. I know that
we
for a
had
fact.
Florida State come in. We had
39.5 was Florida State.
And you couldn't break the 40,000 threshold. You couldn't fill it. Yeah,
and that, we can break that down a million different ways as to why. Right. We know why. But yeah, no, I completely agree is why, someone, there's a lot of external factors to why someone who's a 4-star, if you want to, break it down to specifics, you can even hone on certain players. I won't do that, but why a 4-star recruit would choose Boston College over, say, Clemson if they were both getting actively recruited. So, there are a couple factors. The first one is the academic premise. Some people, they hold it to a higher esteem. I know that for many players, they will choose a school specifically because, their family, everyone around them sees academics as an important issue. And a lot of people, who go to, not to knock Clemson, Boston College is clearly a better school academically. They'll go to Boston College because of the academics. Does that happen across the board? Absolutely not, because many of the people who are choosing between Clemson are usually not choosing between Boston College, Clemson. It's between Boston College Clemson and SEC school, or so on and so forth. So they're going for the top tier football program rather than they are, or the extra benefits, and that's something that Boston College struggles with. Obviously, we don't have indoor facilities. We don't have an amazing fan base just because we're in a pro sports city. That's something that you can use to your advantage too with having a city in your backyard.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the players do use that. And the one thing that Boston College has going for them is they are a pro player factory. They produce pro players. Every year you will have one player in the league who's doing stuff big. We have 3 O-linemen from our team last year who were on the active rosters for teams. Are all of them playing? No, but they'll get there. Shaquem Phillips, somebody who was just here for a year, who was from UConn, transferred here 1 year with Tyler Murphy, didn't really come onto the scene until late last year.
Yeah.
And he's now with the Steelers. He's on the roster. He's playing. People like that, you can bring it back to Luke Kuechly. You can bring it back to
there are big names.
Pierre Lewis.
There are as many big name guys as there
everyone,
are.
Exactly. We match those top schools with people in the league. And Matt Ryan said it. He was on the phone with the Adazio radio show the other day. He said, you know what? There's not much difference between, a guy coming out of LSU and a guy coming out of Boston College in the professional aspect. The only problem is getting to that professional aspect and then having to deal with the outside factors when you're here, which is, a different environment where it's, weather-wise. So comparative to schools in the South, if you're comparing schools in the Midwest, obviously it's a little different. Schools in the South, nicer weather, academic restrictions, size of the school, a lot of the private versus public. There's 1.5 million things that you can hone on. It's also the fact of maybe Boston College was the only D1 school that recruited you, or the only legit D1 school that recruited you. If you're here between, a MAC school and an ACC school. Right. It's the same thing that Wake Forest deals with. Right. It's the same thing that, to a degree, Virginia deals with, even though Virginia is a public university. Right? Yeah, it's a state school. It's the same thing that Duke deals with. Duke is worse than us.
Yeah.
Believe me, going down there, it was sad.
It was crazy.
It was sad.
That game, how few people were
that's amazing, but Duke's not exactly. They have basketball to back it up.
Right,
we don't have. I guess hockey, but we don't have. Exactly. So,
but to make a quick point here, I want to look at Utah. Okay, Utah, the Rice-Eccles Stadium. That's their home stadium. Mm-hmm. Utah is the number 4 team in the country now.
Yes, they are.
Their stadium, their capacity is 45,807.
It's 400 more than us, really.
400 more than us.
Yeah.
And up until last year, it was 45-17. So, a very comparable stadium size. Yeah. The reason that they're number 4 in the country is because kids go there. The athletes go there. They're getting good recruits. They aren't getting the 5-star recruits.
No.
It's still Utah. But they're getting 4-star recruits. They're getting a depth of 4-star recruits. And the reason is they're filling that 45,000. Okay, we're not going to have the stadium size that other people are going to have. For one, we don't have the footprint on BC's campus to be able to do that. 2, it is a pro city, so you're just not going to see that. The biggest venue you're going to get is if you play at Gillette like UMass does, but you're not going to sell out Gillette. They're just going to take off the top.
Exactly, and then by doing that too, you also lose so many aspects of the school, the tailgate. Exactly. I mean, the tailgate, not really the tailgating experience, but people having to travel, so on and so forth.
Right. But if you can fill your 45, that's a big number. Okay. Yeah. Because you can be just as loud with 45 as you can with 60, as you can with 70. You can't be those upper level, like 80 to 100,000, the crazy, like big state schools. And we're never going to be a big state school. But at the same time, you can fill out that 45,000. Utah, they played Michigan this year. This is their home opener. They're not ranked inside the top 10. They were ranked very low in the top 25, if at all. And they over-attended. They had 2,000 more fans in attendance than their capacity. 2,000 more. They overfilled their stadium. And we had Florida State come in. Granted, we're not very good, but we had, at the time, we're 2-0. We have Florida State come in, who's
under the lights. Then again, if it wasn't a Friday, add 2,000-3,000. But still, it's still not selling out. It's still not 44.
Still not selling out. Why you cannot sell that out is unbelievable to me. The atmosphere for these games is just so poor. People are not into it here. And you know what? You can have all the excuses in the world for the surrounding town. It's never been a big part, even though I feel as though it was. I remember a time when going to a BC game was a great time, when a lot of people did it, when I had a lot of friends and families around me who did it. But there's no excuse for the students not coming out and being up for these games. There's just no excuse for that.
I agree.
We seem to be the biggest fair weather fans with this, and if you're going to be there, get into the game. I know it's a social event, and you know what? No knock on anything. It's a social event at other schools too. There are just as many people at Clemson. Well, there are people at Clemson who are there for the social aspect of it, who are not there to watch the game. But the difference is, one, they have so many more, so it outweighed.
Show. Yeah.
But two, there is such a large constituency of people who are there, who know everything about the team, who know about those 5-star recruits who came in this past year, know where they're from, who they played for in high school. Granted, that's because there are a lot of feeder things.
Yeah.
But I know plenty of people who go to St. Peter's Prep who are here, who went to high school with a lot of the kids we play with.
Yeah.
Plenty of people from the New Jersey area. Plenty of people from Massachusetts, which we need to start winning over again recruiting. There seems to be such a nonchalantness with this football team, just very lackadaisical fans, and it would do wonders for recruiting if you could fill the stadium every time, have people who came in, packed house, ready to go, ready to cheer on this team.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, because Utah is not terribly better than us with recruiting.
Yeah.
But somehow they've crawled up to the top.
What I would love to do is go back to the student section in 2007 when Matt Ryan was that the year? Around that?
Yeah, around that.
06, 07, 08, that era, before Spaz came in and, blew up the program. Yeah. I would love to see what type of environment it was like. And, I knock the students to a degree. Comparatively, we're atrocious in the student section aspect. I think we're one of the most, I only have one perspective. I could go to one college every 4 years. I could come back and say, all right, now I'll pick mine and I can tell you, But I only have one perspective or two perspectives based on friends or a couple perspectives. But, I go, out of my friend group, I go to the biggest football school. And, I really can't compare with that. But what I see here are, like you say, fair weather. That people who just do not understand the game, don't understand, basically, you walk into your dorm and someone sees you and they know you work for the football team or something, in my case, and they'll immediately be like, Clemson, ooh, we really got whooped. It's like, well, if you watch the game, Not really. Who's our quarterback? Oh, I don't know. You can't back it up by knocking a team if you don't know who the players are, what we're going through, what exactly happened. If you got to get the rundown from me, don't debate me on what happened. And that's true. That's beyond. I mean, that if you go to a school where you're we go to a very privileged school. That's very obvious. If you go to a school as privileged as this one, privilege should not be involved at all in sports, and unfortunately we tie it in. Example, hockey. First of all have never experienced a hockey program. I know we're a good hockey program. I know we're one of the most storied NCAA hockey programs ever. We were number 11 in the nation last year. And it was a bad year. Every single person at this campus, almost, because one person says it and it spreads like wildfire, was, we're terrible. Why would I go to the game? We're terrible. We're number 11 in the nation. What are you talking about? I know we're not number 3. Right. Do we have to be number 3, number 2, number 1 to get you guys to go to a game? We can't sell out a student section because we're not number 1 in the country, because we're number 11, because that's what you expect, because, that's what what
you're told.
That's what your friends experienced 5 years ago. I would love to go back and see the mentality in 2007 when we were that good. And that's when I can tell you, is success going to be the thing that brings people to the stadium, or do we have to bring people to the stadium to build success?
It's got to be a mix. It's got to be a mix, because you get the success. It's not like you can fabricate success, right? So we could get it again. We could have a big polarizing player come in. We could have the next Matty Ryan.
Anthony Brown, baby. I'm hoping. I'm hoping Anthony Brown. Maybe. Oh, please. He's a monster weekend, by the way. Oh. Monster weekend. Continue.
You could have a big name guy come in and just tear it up and be absolutely great. But it's a turnover. They're gone in 4 years at the most. No matter what, they're gone.
That's
in 4
Ryan.
years.
What happened after Ryan? Pretty much a dropout. A couple years
held
out.
It up because he was one of the few sexy players on defense, but not very well. The thing is, you got to maintain that level after the big player is gone, and it's just so hard to do so with a fan base that is only concerned with winning. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I have another friend at Georgia. Now, Georgia's not comparable. SEC, we're never going to be even close to an SEC.
And that's something that we shouldn't compare ourselves to. But yes, I completely agree.
But they lost to Alabama in terrible fashion at home. Okay, really down after that. Go and play Tennessee, lose a game that they really, really needed to win. Nick Chubb, their running back, potential Heisman candidate, goes down with an injury. Not only likely done at Georgia, likely done for his career. It was that bad. But you know what? They're still up and ready to go for that next game and are amped up for Missouri coming in on a Saturday night. Are amped up for that game. Yeah. They put the loss behind them. They just move on. They're ready to go. That's the thing is, here you lose a couple games and then the attitude is like, all right, well, if it's a nothing game at halftime, let's go. I mean, I don't know.
No, it's over. I already know Virginia Tech's going to be rough.
Virginia Tech
NC State's going to be rough. And no, I don't mean this from a playing aspect. I mean from a attending aspect.
That's I know. And that's fine.
It's just the mentality we have here.
And it is the mentality. It shouldn't be, but
we couldn't have a better time for the Virginia Tech game too, being on Halloween. So
no, we couldn't.
I mean, if that doesn't bring out, if we do not pack the students, and I honestly, I'll defend them for this season. Except for Wake Forest. Wake Forest was inexcusable. It was because it was Columbus Day. Everyone and their mother left. Yeah. Which at a sports-oriented school would never happen. I know for a fact. If you go to a top-tier school, sports-wise,
I had a friend
Columbus Day, they'd be like, I'm not coming home because...
My friend at Clemson last year came home on Wednesday for Thanksgiving break and flew back out Friday night because they had a game.
That's what my brother did every year. Yeah,
right, that's what you do. You have a game, you get back out there for it, and that's just not.
It's a different mentality, and it's unfortunate. I guess it's the territory we come with.
Yeah. We're gonna get heated, so we'll
you really can't beat a dead horse. No. It's a characteristic, and I hope it does change. And you do need an electric player to bring it back, but the problem is, like you said, you have to keep it high. Scheduling's another factor. We won't go into it, but there's 1.5 million things that go into it. But let's shift the tides a little bit. Talk about a little bit of college football. I watched a decent amount of games. I'm sure you didn't catch any of them because you were very busy.
I caught the Michigan game at a tailgate. not the end of the game. That was I
did.
wanted Michigan to win. I was
didn't.
in a minority there for sure, but I was hoping. I just want these programs like Michigan and Florida. It was a tough weekend. I mean, I like LSU, so I was fine with that. But I'd like to see Michigan and Florida kind of rise back to prominence. It'd be nice to see some of these old teams.
No, not a big fan. I like Michigan State. I think they play a very beautiful set of football. That's another problem is we play one of the most unsexy football.
That's true.
Do you want sexy football in 5 wins or brutal football in 7 wins? Or do you want brutal football in 3 wins? I mean, come on. I know which one we're getting, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's take it through some of the top 25 games. Just go through the big ones, really, and then we can get into some NFL. Let's look at... So Pitt just jumped into the top 25 at 5-1 in the ACC.
That's huge for the ACC, by the way. They're looking for... I mean, Another thing is ACC, we're 0-4. We lost 3 of those games to the top 3 teams in ACC right now. So, I mean, you can only balance it out to a degree. But, Duke's one of those teams. I think they're at 21 right now. Clemson's sitting at 5 or 6, and then Florida's right behind at 10 or 11. So ACC showing up 4 teams, pretty decent right now, and they're really banking on Louisville, who's taking a nosedive to no end. But like you said, Pitt broke the top 25 this week, so we'll be looking towards that game.
Absolutely, I think the biggest game on the slate, at least in terms of the early games, is the Clemson-Miami game. I know that the feel down in Death Valley last week was that this is going to be a very, very challenging game for them.
Yeah.
They're worried about this one. Miami's a good team. They looked really good against Florida State, had a chance to pull that one out. And I think they could give Clemson a game. I think that'll be a fun one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's your noon game. Going down, Michigan State has Indiana this week. They're coming off of a huge win. Other than that, they really haven't played well as of late.
I mean, what they do is they stay so under the radar, and you want to talk about they do not play sexy football. They're they get it done very, what's the right word? Just like orderly down the field, they get a little bit of it at a time, and then they score, and it's like, yay, Michigan State has 7, then they give up a field goal, and then they go back and forth. That's what they do. They're not a team that's going to blow you out of the water like these Big 12 teams. They're not an SEC team where it's going to be a powerhouse versus powerhouse. They're playing Big 10 opponents. Big 10's not the strongest conference in the world. They have 3 teams right now that are at the top. So, Michigan State. Indiana's not a pushover. If Indiana was at home, I think it'd be a little bit different, even though Indiana's home environment's not that great. But
very close.
You saw Ohio State. They show up. They'll show up for the big games, just like we do to a degree. So, I'd like to see. I think that could be a test for Michigan State. Who knows? Depends on how Indiana comes out.
Absolutely, another under the radar test. Alabama has Tennessee. Alabama now. A lot of people's picks. I saw on ESPN front page this morning that I can't recall who the analyst was, but it was Alabama's pick to win it all, to sneak in, get the bid.
It's possible.
Over a Pac-12 team and win the whole thing. They're playing great football right now. You compare them to Ohio State of last year. They've got a tough Tennessee team who Tennessee is just consistently underperforming for how good of classes they bring in every year. They really haven't gotten over that hump. Butch Jones is a good coach, but he's a better recruiter than he is on-the-field coach. And it's in Tuscaloosa, so it's going to be tough. I think along the same lines, I think if it was in Tennessee, it would be a different story. But Alabama, will be tested to some degree in Tuscaloosa. LSU with a very easy game against Western Kentucky. Leonard Fournette with 1,200 yards already.
Automatic Heisman. If he doesn't get hurt and he just keeps up,
there's no way he should.
He should. Unless unless LSU just nosedives towards the bottom. Wow, Mets up 4-0.
Oh,
does that say bottom of the first?
Bottom of the first.
My
that is tough.
Lord.
All right, well, we'll finish this and just take a quick interlude there before NFL. The biggest game, I think, on the weekend, there aren't too many great games this weekend, but the SEC showcase of the week is 24 Ole Miss home against 15 Texas A&M. A&M coming off the big loss to Alabama. They were pretty handily defeated there, and now they've got to try to rebound against Ole Miss, and you're getting into that time of year when SEC starts eating each other alive. If Ole Miss wins this, Texas A&M going to be very low in the top 25. If still in, if A&M wins it, Ole Miss is most definitely out, sitting at number 24 right now.
Crazy.
They're 5-2. This is a team that took down Alabama. and then has lost twice since. So it'll be a good game. A&M's a very strong team, but hopefully, you know, I think if you're the SEC, you just got to sacrifice Ole Miss and hope that A&M gets it done.
Yeah, and then we have one game that should have been one of the most premier games of the year, and that's Georgia Tech, Florida State.
Oh boy.
I mean, Georgia Tech, talk about just, dropping out. They are they're a bottom dweller with us right now with the unfortunate games that they've had, starting off with just brutal losses left and right, getting crushed by Notre Dame and Duke back-to-back weeks, and then they cannot pull out, a morsel of a win right now. So Florida State should have no trouble with them. I still think they're a good team, obviously. I still think, like us, we could beat any team in the ACC. I think Georgia Tech could easily beat Florida State this week. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think it could happen. Then Utah, USC played Notre Dame very well this weekend. It's one of the games that I did watch.
USC is a good team.
And
USC, everybody's waiting on USC. They were highly
they're
ranked.
Having a brand new coach, having coming in this year with one of the top quarterbacks in the country in Kessler. USC hasn't lived up to expectations at all, and they've had a lot of problems. But honestly, going into this Utah, being at home, who knows? This could be a huge game for their program. It's not going to change much for USC this year. They're not going to win anything.
Utah's at 3, by the way. We had them at 4 earlier.
Unbelievable. Utah, that's a team that we keep waiting to lose. And I think Stanford's a good team. And that's what we talk about, too, with Pac-12, one team pulling it out. It's either going to be Utah or Stanford. UCLA's name getting thrown around. But then Ohio State, Rutgers. This is one I want to highlight because Rutgers is not the easiest place to play, and they will show up for big games, not for small ones. They're like us. So Ohio State's had their trouble on the road. They got a brand new quarterback, and by brand new I mean
just in general.
Cardell is no longer the quarterback. JT Barrett is in. They steamrolled Penn State. So that's the one thing that's giving me a little apprehension right now. But Rutgers is sneaky. They lost to Michigan State because of stupidity, spiking the ball on 4th down when they had a chance to, hey, let me tell you, we spiked the ball with no minutes, and everybody was like, ha, BC's stupid. And then 3 hours later, they spike it on 4th down. It's like, ha, what are we talking about? What happened with BC? Doesn't matter. Rutgers spiked it on 4th down. Thank you, Rutgers. State University of New Jersey right there. So watch out for that game. I think I have a couple friends going to it. I think it's going to be a really cool game with some awesome atmosphere. I'm going to say that Rutgers is not going to win, but I think they're going to do. I think it's going to be it's going to be surprising.
Game to watch.
And the only reason that I say maybe it won't be is because of how bad that Ohio State beat Penn State.
Yeah. Well, in that Stanford-Washington game, that closes out top 25 matchups. So. No, not a great week in college football,
pretty average.
And a lax week before a very, very good week 9. So we'll talk about that next week. Some really good matchups there. But we can move on. Yeah, we'll give you an update on baseball. Toronto was able
to talk a little baseball
to win 7-1 and climb back into that series, still facing an elimination game. Down 3-2 in the series now. Kansas City looking to make it back-to-back trips to the World Series, but Toronto did give them a 7-1 clobbering. Earlier today. Slowly
but surely.
Top of the second, the Mets are out fast, up 4-0, and looking to sweep the Cubbies. Tough day to be a Chicago fan.
Have you heard of all the things swirling around this game, or the Chicago Mets here in chat? There's so much. And I really do. I don't actually think it, but I think it would be so cool. 99% of me thinks the Mets are going to win tonight, or if not tonight, tomorrow. But if the Cubs win tonight on a walk-off home run,
don't let us win tonight.
Big Cat. I'm going to
Kevin Millar.
Well, still, Big Cat said it too. Yeah. Big Cat said it second. So
10 years later,
honestly, Big Cat. Listen, let me just rule out some things for you. I'd love to. It's awesome. Okay, so 2004 ALCS. Everybody knows the story.
Oh, God.
He likes it more than I do. Yankees take the first 3 in the ALCS. Game 4 in Boston. Everyone and their mother thought it was over. No one's ever come back from 7 games. Whatever. Sox win, I believe, on a walk-off home run that game. Was that game? Game 5? Can't remember.
I believe so, yes.
I think it was the
Poppy.
walk. Let me have this one. I think it was a walk-off.
Yeah.
So if it was a walk-off, Poppy walks off game 4, whatever. It was game 5, game 4. So that game, the parallels are ridiculous, first of all. Okay? So game 4. Okay? Not your best pitcher going to the hill. Red Sox did not throw their ace. Cubs aren't throwing their ace. Just someone they have to get through the game. Mets aren't throwing their ace either. Matz is a great player, very little experience. He was hurt most this year. He came up halfway through. Parallels? That's the first.
Yeah.
Second, after, so game 5 and game 6, who was sitting there for the Red Sox but their 2 aces?
Yeah, Petey and Chile.
Yep. And what do we got now? 2 aces for the Cubs waiting up. Arrieta and Lester just waiting, just salivating at the thought of getting to pitch another one against these Mets. Okay? Just say that happens. They win those 2 games. Game 7 on the road.
Anything can happen.
In New York. They're playing a New York team. Okay? That's the second parallel, is New York team. Third parallel, team of destiny. Both teams with curses. Okay? So curse of the Bambino. Okay?
Yeah. I got you.
Curse of the Billy Goat. That's pretty interesting. Number 4, Theo Epstein. Number 5, this is really interesting, and it was all over Twitter last night. The goat. The Billy Goat that did the curse, his name is Murphy. Daniel Murphy.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my
Look
God.
out.
There it is. Murphy.
There it
It's
is.
destiny. Murphy is haunting the Cubs right now. If there is any time for the Cubs' magic to end, Murphy has come back to life, and he's giving them, this is it. Murphy is telling them this is the year the Cubs win. It's 4-0 right now.
It's
And probably
it's
not.
a mountain to
It's
climb.
over. It's over.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Number 6
the
parallel.
parallels are
John F.
yeah.
Kennedy shot in a Lincoln. Lincoln shot in Ford Theater.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Hilarious.
Oh, look out!
No, really funny though. Not that one, but the parallels are. I mean, Manny Ramirez. That's another parallel on the Cubs. So many different things going on right now that is just mind-boggling to me. That if it was also Back to the Future, Cubs win the World Series, it's the day today that Back to the Future predicted. Come on.
Come on.
This
Come
is
on.
destiny for the...
It's gotta be.
I mean, how could this not be laid out better for the Cubs? Win. Just imagine they switch with the Mets right now, and they're winning 3-0. They win today. That's sorcery from the Back to the Future producer. That he predicted the day that the Cubs make the World Series, and he put... That is... Okay, you can't... That is weird. That's just really weird.
Oh,
and I know,
my God.
Come on. There's so much going on right here.
No, there is, and I would love it.
It's not going to happen. I'm just
No,
saying.
it's
I'm
not.
just saying. It's really weird. There's a lot. If
There
the
is
goat's
a lot.
name wasn't Murphy, if it wasn't a curse, if it wasn't... I mean, there's just so much. If it wasn't 3-0, if it wasn't this or that, I wouldn't, Okay, I'm saying it right now, and we're going to document it. If Schwarber hits a home run to walk off tonight, because that's my parallel to Big Papi on the team.
Schwarber?
Schwarber or Rizzo, I guess, because first base. I guess you can make that comparison because they don't have DH. If either of them walk off with a home run tonight, I'm leaving. I'm gonna turn off all technology. I'm probably gonna go live in the forest or something because I'm gonna be really scared. That's freaky. I don't like the weird sorcery stuff going on. I feel it cooking right now. So if you're listening and Schwarber or Rizzo walks off tonight with a home run, I'm going to be really nervous. That's all I got to say.
They're going to have to do it with their bullpen because their starting pitcher, Cubs, Hamill, just got pulled. So,
their bullpen's
1.1.
That's pretty brutal.
4 in the first.
I wonder.
Walked his first guy
I wonder
in
if
the
they'll
second.
throw Lester.
I mean, if you get to that point, you gotta.
It could.
You could.
Interesting. We'll move to the NFL, but just to hone on the other series, I really like that series. I think they're 2 really good
It's a fun
AL
series.
teams.
It's good.
Toronto's atmosphere is ridiculous. I usually put Kansas City as one of the best atmospheres in sports because there's nothing really to do out there.
is fun.
Toronto is nuts. Did you watch that game?
The
Bautista hit the
yes.
home run.
Oh my
The
God!
camera couldn't stay still. The guy was shaking. So many things surround. I mean, that was
Venomous,
awesome.
bat.
That
It
was
wasn't
awesome.
even
And
a
they
bat
came
flick.
back.
It was just a bat.
And they
throw.
came back. They came back from the Rangers. So
yeah, they did. They've got
this
a
is
taller
interesting.
order
They
here
they've
against
done
Kansas
too.
City, though.
If they win one more, I mean, we're talking about a whole different series. So very interesting series going on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Andy Carney just texted me saying
he's coming
for my head if the Cubs win. Well, hey, you know what?
Fantastic.
I'm gonna go by the name of Nostradamus if I predicted that, and if either of those guys, if either Nostradamus Hardnett. So
all right, well, we're gonna.
He was wrong. So let's move into the NFL. I actually didn't catch many NFL games this week, other than the two teams we like. I got to see the Patriots not dismantle the Colts, and I got to watch the Giants play one of the most disgusting brands of football I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't watch it last night, and I usually don't turn off football. I watched the entire BC Clemson game, even though I was pretty disgusted with, play calling, and we didn't get it. But I couldn't watch the Giants. Oh my God, I couldn't watch them. I bet you didn't catch them. I wouldn't either.
I watched one of
the grossest games. I mean, and the Eagles were pretty gross too. Both teams were just disgusting. It was a very
it was
terrible,
surprising to me.
And it just shows how bad the NFC East is this year.
Yeah, it's true. And somebody's going to walk out of there a winner, and it's just going to be disgusting.
It is. It's not fair.
The whole thing's going to be disgusting.
It is not
Meanwhile,
fair
we got
to the
4-1 Jets in the easiest league and easiest division.
Oh, come on. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hey, they're 4-1.
Here we go with the AFC East again.
My God.
Oh,
all
man.
right.
Well, if the Dolphins could catch and punt a pass, then they're coming back, though. They got a crazy coach.
They do got a crazy coach.
He's so
I'm not. I mean, that's fine. Our
Ryan
bottom
Tannehill
is
throwing picks
throwing
to the practice squad.
That's one of the funniest
AFC East
stories.
is tough. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
Giants beat the Bills. Yeah, here we go. Giants beat the Patriots. Whatever, right?
Giants aren't going to beat the Patriots, so that's fine. I mean,
I just, it's such a greater position sometimes. Like, being a Patriots fan is awesome because, you always have the upper hand. But, if the Giants somehow in some magical universe do beat the Patriots, oh my God.
The ribbing that I'm going to take on this program.
It's such an amazing,
unbelievable.
It's so being a BC fan. This is a parallel. Being a BC fan,
you can be the eternal optimist.
Exactly.
You're
just hey, we could win, but you know what? My expectations are pretty low. But yay, if you win,
set the bar low.
Let me tell you.
No, I know. Meanwhile, I'm sitting up here atop my hill trying to defend the wall.
That's what I'm talking about.
All darn day long.
And maybe I don't know which one I like better. I don't know.
I mean, I'll take the 4 Super Bowls. I think I like the Super Bowls
I agree
better.
with that too, but it's that one moment is pretty glorious. If you're a Mets fan right now, you're sitting on Mount Olympus. This has never happened before, and you're so optimistic.
No,
and
I'm fine
it's great. I am too, and I'm a Yankees fan. I have nothing against the Mets. I think they're our adorable little brother. They deserve it once in a while. And I know Andy and Matt are listening right now, so they definitely are. It's adorable. So
adorable.
They deserve a win once in a while.
They do.
And then Murphy will walk this year.
Let's put it this way: I hope whoever makes it from the NL, if somehow you're short of a prediction, I want them over in the World Series.
Sure,
all right, let's get into it.
Yeah,
Thursday, battle of not even 3 years ago. These two were in the NFC Championship together. We've got the 49ers and the Seahawks now, both sitting at 2-4 this year, both looking like some ugly teams.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's brutal this year for both of those. Yeah. Seahawks have lost some really tough games. One they actually should have. The one that their record is brutal, but they actually lost another game that like people said the Lions game. The Lions game technically was a loss because the refs got the call wrong where it went out of play and it was actually a touchback. Lion or whatever it was, Lions score. I can't remember what the play was. Yes. But yes, they lose to the Lions, but they got that win, and they haven't won a game on the road this year, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they are 0-3.
So they're 0-3 on the road, and you're now playing in one of the most hostile environments because the 49ers, obviously, are not playing for much this year, but they have a great home environment. They have. Is that the field with the really bad conditions too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got
no. Are you thinking Oakland?
I don't know. I'm thinking of one of them. Thinking of one of them.
49ers
have their issues too with their field, I think. But regardless, Seattle, they're not the team they were last year, even though on paper they look to be the same. 49ers, I watched the Giants game.
Better, honestly.
The Giants game Sunday night last week. When they played the 49ers are coming together. Colin Kaepernick's tried to, he's finding a groove. Carlos Hyde's not a bad player. You could say the same for Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch. This game could honestly go either way. It's so hard for me to pick against the Seahawks just because it's the Seahawks. It's a name over the past 2 years. They've been so good. Why would you pick the 49ers? I'm going to go with the 49ers at home. I think the Seahawks, they haven't had success on the road. Colin Kaepernick's slowly starting to find his groove. I don't know. I think Carlos Hyde has a good week. Give it to the 49ers. They deserve a win. They're doing all right at home this year. I think their environment, and of course the Seahawks, I think they come out for a big game Thursday night.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I admittedly have not caught too many Seahawks games. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I mean, I caught the Detroit game.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to watch this one start to finish. It's a Thursday night game. I want to just sit there and see. I don't know what's really going on with the Seahawks team, like what their root causes are. If it's Russell throwing picks, what is it? Why they're playing so poorly? Their defense
got destroyed this week by Cam on that final drive.
They did, absolutely. I did catch that, but I really want the Seahawks to lose. I mean, I was up until Super Bowl week. That was my NFC team. Once your team's gone in the AFC, you like to have a nice backup.
Of course.
I like the Seahawks. I love everything about Richard Sherman, the Legion of Boom. Although I hate calling them that. Just let them be players without giving them a stupid hashtag or nickname.
Yeah.
But I like their individual players. I'm not a huge Russell fan anymore. He's just a little bit much sometimes. I like Marshawn. I like this team, I think, still. It's just after the Super Bowl and knowing how good they are, I would like to see them buried if you don't have to worry about facing them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Although if they don't make it to playoffs, you've got a pretty unopposed walk for the Packers into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No doubt.
But I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one, though I will be pulling 49ers the whole way.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if you want to highlight the next one.
The big game. All right. So it's a 1:00 game. It's in Gillette. All right. It's home. It's the Patriots versus the Jets. We're 5-0. They're 4-1.
It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game. I said this week, we're not going to blow out Indy. Every part of me wanted me to blow out Indy. When we got
Too
the ball,
much hype.
It was too much hype. We don't ever blow out the games that we're supposed to blow out. Okay? I will say this, though. When we got the ball back before their last offensive possession and we went 3-and-out again with 4 minutes left, I was really hoping we could drive down and score there. I was looking to pick up some 20% off Barstool gear. That did not happen, unfortunately. I would have loved for 20 points, but I never thought it was going to be a blowout. It's the same thing with the undefeated season talk. I hate people hyping us this much. Okay? We are one bad defensive game away from being crap. Our playoff run is going to be the most uneasy thing. But at the same time, if we can just get to 6-0 this week, that'd be great. I don't think we're going to lose to the Jets. The Jets are the real deal. I don't think that they're not fake. They're a good team. They're absolutely a good team. Todd Bowles has done a lot there. They look good. They look strong. But the competition hasn't been great for them. Not that ours has been superb or anything, but the Jets. I don't think the Jets are coming into Gillette this week and getting it done.
It's the Jets always play well at Gillette against the Patriots. I found that to be a trend, especially midway through the season. The Jets seem to always lose these games late, so I think that'll happen again here. It's just the trend that I see. The other thing I could see happening is Patriots just so mad about Indy not blowing them out of the water.
I don't think they are. I don't think it was ever on their radar.
I kind of agree with you, too, where it's not the Patriots. I guess it's the media perception makes it seem like Patriots are so mad they didn't blow out Indy that they're going to come out here and just destroy the Jets.
Well, it's the thing
and they're not hyping that up because they're going to say this is going to be a close game. So maybe, reverse mindset thinking here. But I really do think, I agree with you. I think the Patriots will win this one. I think it'll be really close.
If we can make a point, though, it wasn't a close game in Indy. The scoreboard does not intimate the actual game line.
Agreed.
Okay, one of those touchdowns, the defense did not. The defense let up 14
to Patriots
points.
standards, it was a close game. And
you know what? On the scoreboard, it was a close game.
The Colts played well, and they really gave the game to you guys at one, the one play.
Yeah.
That's when it just, they were staying with you guys,
you know what I think? I felt like the whole time, especially in the fourth quarter, there was no urgency on offense, which is something that we hadn't seen in any game. They've been ready to go out and go every single game on offense. And it was the one game that you were supposed to be really up for, they weren't up for. So I think the whole media, the whole week leading up was just too much.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I don't like the attention. I don't need any of that. I just want to get there, get into the playoffs, then, the attention will come. Just make the run. But this week, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be feeling the effects. I have to imagine they're going to come out. I think that honestly, there's more motivation for them this week than there was last week from the player standpoint. Because Tom Brady is not out there throwing passes against the Colt front office and Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano. That's not the people he's throwing the passes against. This week, however, he is throwing the passes against Darrelle Revis.
A little incentive.
There's more incentive from the player's point of view than there was for this past week. The players weren't beating the Colts like everybody thought they were going to do, and especially because they were beating
a logo. They weren't beating the players.
Right, exactly. And they were doing what everybody expected them to do, so it's not like they're sending a message. Yeah, they could have gone out and run it up 60-0 or some ridiculous thing like that. Yeah. But the people talking about it the entire week leading up had the same effect as if they were to have gone out there and done it.
Yeah.
I think that it got enough hype of it being a revenge game without actually exacting revenge. This game is different. If I'm Tom, I don't like the way Revis has handled some things in the offseason. I can appreciate that he was never a patriot. He was a mercenary, as people like to call him. But there's an element of loyalty you have to have. Like, I just don't understand some of the things he said about the guy who brought him his first championship. He doesn't have a championship without Tom Brady, doesn't have a championship without Bill Belichick, doesn't have a championship without the Patriots. Some of the things he's said in the offseason, I've very much been, for almost the entire time, like, I'll step back, let him have the pass because, that's who he is.
Yeah.
But as it's gotten further along, he said some things that are very questionable, and it's like, oh my God, like, this was your team.
Yeah.
You were in the locker room with those guys. So I think there's more incentive for them to get it done this week. I think they do get it done at home against the Jets.
I think you broke that down fantastically. I couldn't agree more. The Jets they're getting it done. They're not. It's not sexy football. They're not doing amazing things. It's still Ryan Fitzpatrick. You got to think about this stuff, and their defenses they're strong. So it'll be interesting to see how they do against the Patriots. Next game, we got Bills at Jags. Man, we send the best over to England, don't we?
That's the thing. We talked about this. You're not going to give up a game that would be big for ticket sales over here, but you're going to send them to England. If talks are kicking up again, it's this time every year about putting a team in England. I don't want that. I don't understand.
That's crazy
you
for
make
travel.
Billions of dollars in America. Stay in America. Why do we need Europe? Just leave it out of it. You make enough here. Let's just let the product stay here. Let's stop putting the strain on our players to go fly over there for a 9:30 game. Let's stop this ridiculous nonsense talk about having a team who's going to play 8 home games over there. What 8 teams are going to fly over there?
That's what I'm saying. It's a huge travel commitment. And I mean,
it's too much.
Then again, if you want to compare it, California's a 6-hour flight. London's a 7.5.
That's
so
fine. But so what, are they not going to play West Coast teams?
Yeah, exactly. You can't. So I guess
that
argument could go both ways. But Mets 6-0, by the way.
Oh boy!
But
boy.
I mean, if you don't want to break down, we have about 3 minutes left. So it's very simple. The Jags are get Bills. I don't need to go into it.
Bucks Redskins.
Man, you want to make a worse game, America?
No,
Lord have mercy. I'd rather watch paint dry than tune into this one. So, Lord, do I care? Can we just skip this one?
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. If I have to flip a coin, Redskins, Kirk Cousins, because he's a god.
Bucks. Falcons.
Just for a point of dissent.
Yeah, there you go. Falcons tight ends. Falcons Titans.
Falcons versus so Falcons on the road. Titans could sneaky pull this one out just because Marcus Mariota. Yeah, it's tough. But Falcons are playing beautiful. So Falcons.
They had a tough game against
Freeman. Real deal.
Saints coming off now. They're 2-0. Came off a big game against the Falcons. Are playing the Colts. I don't like the Colts. Saints.
Okay. I was like,
Saints
wait.
Are taking that game.
I had to think about that one. I disagree. I think the Colts, they're coming off a big game. You build off a little bit. Andrew Luck starting to find his groove a little bit. I think the Colts got something cooking for themselves, and I think they can pull something off here. I'm going to go with the Colts.
Fantastic. All right, Lions, Vikings.
Lions are struggling really hard right now, and I love Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's playing some really good football.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm going to go with the Vikes.
I'll go with the Vikes with you there. Steelers, Chiefs. Chiefs also just, my God, they're a bad football team.
They're
right
brutal,
now.
And like I said, I think the Kansas City atmosphere is one of the best in America. So Kansas City has a little bit of a pull here, and Michael Vick and him not throwing the ball as much. Antonio Brown's not becoming a factor anymore. I called the Ravens game a few weeks ago. But we have to be realistic here. I think the Steelers are still a very they're still a very, very good team. So I think Michael Vick's starting to find a groove a little bit. I'm gonna go with the Steelers.
I'll go with the Steelers as well. Browns, Rams. Todd Gurley coming on, baby.
Yeah, Todd Gurley is heating up, and my roommate, if he's listening, he told me to talk about the Rams for like 20 minutes tonight. I said, dude, like no one in America ever wants to listen to the Rams for 20 minutes. Yeah, like you said, Todd Gurley, he's a man among boys right now in these last 2 weeks. He had a bye, but he's starting to come back, and he's a little jolt for the Rams program. You know, the Rams
he's a real deal.
Not too bad this year. You know, they have a decent record. They're getting there. They're not there yet, but against the Browns team, I mean, start Johnny Manziel.
Oh my God! I was just gonna say,
start Johnny Manziel, and that's
pick the Rams because I want them to win, and
start Johnny
McLeod
Manziel
to look like
come on.
I want Manziel coming in.
I'm gonna go with the Rams though.
I'm gonna go with the Rams as well.
Shout
Texans,
out
Dolphins.
Texans are bad, man. I
that
can't.
all-pro
but Dolphins are bad, man. Dolphins are starting to turn it around. That's the only reason I'm gonna pick them.
They're 0-2 at home. That's interesting, but I'm gonna go with Dolphins as well.
Nice.
Raiders, Chargers.
Oh man, Chargers actually almost pulled it out.
I don't understand how they're 2-4. They
really don't
good.
make any sense. Phillip Rivers throws for like 1,000 yards every game. So
he's got 2,000 yards and 12 TDs already.
He's ridiculous. You know how much I want to pick AC/DC because I love Oakland, but you know it's got to stop. I pick Oakland almost every time. So Chargers at home in the pick.
I'll go with Chargers too. Giants, Cowboys.
Oh, here we go. Giants back on the winning streak right here. Giants
as well. Eagles, Panthers.
Man, Eagles terrible this weekend. Giants were terrible too, but the Cowboys are so bad that, in my mind, that the Giants are going to win that one. Here is Panthers, Eagles. Eagles so bad on the road. Panthers coming off a big win. Panthers, Cam Newton.
Eagles have looked so bad for so long. And every week, it's like, are they going to turn around? Are they going to turn around? This is the week. They're playing the Panthers. They're 5-0. Panthers are legit. Eagles get the win, and this is going to get them onto their playoff spring. They're winning the NFC East.
Wow, Giants, nice.
Monday night, Ravens, Cardinals. This is for me. This is the nail in the coffin for the Ravens. Cardinals are going to win this one, and that's going to be it because the Ravens
have one win. Is that what it says?
One win.
And you know what? Some magical man predicted it. So, will I call it again? No, I won't. Cardinals at home. I love Arizona's atmosphere.
I love Arizona.
It's so cool.
Arizona's I love Larry Fitz coming really back.
Cool. Everybody's slowly coming back. Carson Palmer's a G. So, Cardinals on that one. I like it. I like the Cardinals Monday night. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, I'm TJ Hardnett. That's Quinn Kelly.
Kelly.
Wow,
sorry.
Cutting me off.
I just got antsy.
He's so antsy. You know, Scott Hill's coming in next, and you can definitely listen into. He's actually got a really good show. He's very knowledgeable. So I encourage anybody who's listening to tune in to Scott Hill. Again, we're here Wednesday nights, 8:00. Tune in, two dudes. Like us on Facebook. Amen. Here's the song.
Matt Ryan, 21-24, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. Still a dude.
It's better than this. Guys being dudes. Matt Ryan, that's a dude. Heisman Trophy. Bronco Nagurski Award. Ultimate dude. Raji on my left, Herzlich on my right. 2 dudes. O-line you. Bunch of dudes. Dudes to the right. Dudes to the left, stuck in the middle with you.
WZBC, the Boston College Radio Network, the voice of the Eagles.